Talk about a serious story relating to veterans here. There are more than 40,000 veterans in Kern County, many dealing with post-traumatic stress on a constant daily basis. But here in Kern County, there's an old drug being used now in a new way to help veterans dealing with PTSD.
23 ABC's Amanda Mason joins a local veteran on his journey through this new experimental treatment in hopes of leading the way for others to seek the help they need. Amanda?
Well, ketamine has been used in many different ways. Some know it as an illegal drug, doctors know it as a child anesthetic, and it is being used to treat people suffering from suicidal thoughts and depression. But for the past 3 months, it is being used right here in Kern County to treat PTSD.
You may recognize Jason Geis
and veterans to Washington, D.C. to see their memorials.
from his work as a flight leader for the Honor Flight, as executive director for the Portrait of a Warrior Gallery, and a founding member of Wounded Heroes Fund.
Because I want people to approach me as Jason, not as Sergeant Major, because then they won't approach me.
For nearly 21 years, he served in the U.S. Army as a surgeon sergeant major, where he was in charge of training over 21,000 paratroopers and served in Iraq and in several overseas humanitarian and peacekeeping operations. Geis retired from the Army 6 years ago, and while his time in the military has come to an end, the battle in his own mind hasn't stopped.
You know, I hold it together during the day, but the people that love me the most are the ones that take the biggest brunt of my post-traumatic stress.
That's what brought him here. Geis says his wife and his kids are the most important thing to him, but it was an episode on a playground that made him recognize how much PTSD was impacting his family's life. He says his daughter fell, and instead of simply consoling her, he reverted to his training and secured the perimeter with verbal commands.
Because that PTS actually kind of rubs off on your kids, and now they actually have PTS because it's like secondhand smoke, right? You get an effect from that and it impacts your family. So, and especially my wife. My wife's the greatest person in the world, and anybody else would have left me a long time ago, and she stuck it out.
And that's why he's trying this experimental treatment. It uses ketamine, which is a synthetic compound commonly used as an anesthetic. It is currently not known how exactly ketamine rapidly improves a variety of mental illnesses, but through these experimental treatments, researchers are working on decoding these changes in the brain.
This is what ketamine looks like. It's been around for 60 years, and it's also a child anesthetic. In 2011, it started picking up momentum treating depression. Now, this is in Kern County treating mental health issues.
I had a long conversation with Jason right at the beginning, and I realized that he does meet all the criteria for post-traumatic stress.
Dr. Jan Trobisch, the medical director at Synergy Wellness, says the treatment Geis is taking part in aims to help repair damaged connections in the brain from those suffering from PTSD and depression.
Veterans live a life of post-traumatic stress. It's not a car crash. It's not witnessing a friend die. It's witnessing a car crash or a friend die month after month, year after year. You have so many different things that could cause post-traumatic stress. You're actually living in a post-traumatic stress environment.
Ketamine is not a cure for any type of mental disorders, but it is another tool that we have in the toolbox, because for a lot of mental disorders, all we have is classic SSRIs or medications that take sometimes months to work. Ketamine is a fantastic tool to bridge the time, but it's not the grand solution. It's just a tool, and that's how we have to see it.
The ketamine treatment is administered for over 40 minutes, and the doses are based on body weight. The patient lays down with an eye mask, music with no words plays in the background, and there's a counselor monitoring vitals at all times.
Very first time I thought that it wasn't working because it seemed like it was taking a long time for anything to happen. And then I felt this warmth under my neck.
During this experience, Geis says he felt like he was in a cocoon, gliding through the air at high speed.
Cocoon almost. And what I had is a sense of purple, the color purple, and maybe like a dark blue or violet. And it just seemed to crash over me like a wave.
Geis was treated 2 times a week for 3 weeks. He says this ketamine treatment allowed him to think about experiences he had and confront them head on.
And I was seeing moments in my lifetime, but not as myself, from the, more like the outside looking in. Like I could see things that happen not only in my military career, but in my life, but not as if I was the person experiencing it, as I was a witness to it.
According to medical professionals, Synergy Wellness is the only place in Kern County that offers this treatment. Now that he's completed his treatment, Guy says he's finally able to experience some sense of peace for the first time in 21 years.
Ketamine treatments, the 6 that I had, each one gave me a better sense of peace and calm, and really being here right now versus worrying about tomorrow, or really dwelling on the past. And so from that perspective, it's like a miracle.
Guy says the treatment worked well for him, and if you're suffering from PTSD and are interested in learning more about the treatment, we have information on our website, including extended conversations with Geis, Dr. Trobish, and one of the counselors. There's also a worksheet to determine the level of PTSD you have, so turn to 23.com. In studio, Amanda Mason, 23 ABC.
And valuable information there. Thanks for that story.